Taurus, this message is an urgent summons from fate itself, and it cannot be ignored. September 20th, 2025 is not just another date on the calendar. On this day, your ruling planet, Venus, forms a critically tense square with Pluto, the planet of deep transformation and hidden truths. This aspect is a cosmic scalpel, designed to expose long-standing lies that have poisoned your life. The universe isn't punishing you, it's offering you a way out. This is a unique, albeit painful, chance to gain clarity and permanently break free from illusions that have bound your will and energy. Prepare for revelation. For months, you've felt it like background noise, an inexplicable anxiety eroding your confidence. You stand on ground that appears solid, yet your intuition screams that quicksand lies beneath. Your life, built on principles of stability and predictability, has become a meticulously furnished room where you can't breathe. You sense falsehood in close relationships or your primary purpose, but you fear pulling on a thread lest the entire structure collapse. This inner paralysis, this silent agreement to compromise, this is the very cage whose key will soon be in your hands. On this day, an immutable cosmic law takes effect. Stubbornly clinging to familiar stability, even if it's rotten from within, isn't loyalty, it's slow self-destruction. The universe demands from you not blind devotion to people and circumstances, but true loyalty to your soul. That's why, on September 20th, the blow will come from where you sought support. The betrayal of a close individual will be the key that breaks the lock from the inside. This is not a tragedy, it's a surgical intervention by fate, severing a toxic connection to save you from complete disintegration. And this cosmic jolt will materialize suddenly, an overheard conversation, a notification popping up on someone else's phone, or a document landing in your hands by mistake. It will not be a hint, but direct, irrefutable proof. A fragment of truth, so sharp and venomous, it will instantly neutralize years of self-deception. Venus, your ruler, clashing with Pluto, will drag into the light what was buried deep. From this second, you will no longer be able to pretend. The illusion will crumble, leaving only a deafening silence in which your next step will determine everything. Instead of panic and pain, an icy absolute calm is born in this silence. This is the moment when hundreds of minor suspicions, ignored intuitive nudges, and inexplicable anxieties coalesce into a single, brutally clear picture. Suddenly, you see not an isolated act, but the entire system of self-destruction you unconsciously supported. And then, from the deepest reaches of your being, a voice rises that can no longer be silenced. Enough. This is not the cry of a victim, but the command of a captain reclaiming the helm. Your inner core, tempered by this fire, transforms into an unbreakable will to live on your own terms. This will didn't arise from nothing. Recall all those moments when you felt drained, your enthusiasm waning as it hit an invisible wall. Every disappointment, every financial loss or dead-end project was not an accident, but part of a grand design. The universe was methodically loosening your ties to a toxic reality, draining the energy you invested in maintaining that lie. Your fatigue and apathy weren't weaknesses, but a protective mechanism of your soul, refusing to nourish what was killing it. All this pain was fertilizer for the soil upon which your new future will now blossom. And here is the main promise of this day, etched in the celestial vault: your farewell will be your salvation. Today you are not merely leaving a person or a situation, you are performing an exorcism, expelling from your life the role that was imposed upon you. Pluto, tearing the mask from Venus, leaves no choice but to choose yourself. This forced departure isn't a defeat, but the greatest act of self-respect you've ever undertaken. This is not a severance, but a reunion with your true destiny, which has patiently waited for you to finally open your eyes and step toward it. And at this very moment of clarity, your main enemy, habit, will try to paralyze you. Your grounded, pragmatic mind will desperately bargain with fate, throwing poisonous questions. What if I'm wrong? How will I survive alone? Maybe it can still be fixed. This is Taurus's instinctive fear of losing solid ground, of the chaos of change. The voice of the past will whisper that familiar pain is better than an unknown future. This final attempt by your consciousness to cling to the illusion of security is Pluto's ultimate test. It is in this moment of doubt that the universe bestows upon you your new status, architect of your own reality. Your mission is not to fight the ruins of the past, but to lay the first stone in the foundation of a life where you no longer have to lie to yourself. Your true strength, Taurus, is an innate ability to create material stability and beauty. But now you are called to build not from others' expectations, but from the pure material of your soul, from the values you have ignored for so long. The fear of emptiness is an illusion. For an architect, it's merely a cleared site. Embrace your blueprints. Your destiny is to erect a temple for your spirit that will never again stand on rotten ground. The metallic click of a key against a countertop becomes your manifesto. This is not an escape or a tantrum, but the first conscious step into a new reality. A ritualistic act by which you deliberately lock the door to the past from the other side, nullifying your access to your former life. In this instant, the curtain falls on the first act of your personal drama. The play is over, the author has changed. Ahead lies frightening freedom, but behind you, the ashes of a prison you've just willingly left. And this new reality will immediately demand a review in 3 key areas. The first is the Garden of Withered Promises, your sphere of partnership. Here, the challenge is not to leave, but to uproot the poisonous roots of lies, preventing them from contaminating the very soil of your soul. The second is the Fortress of Professional Achievements. You face an inspection. Is your status built on the foundation of the same deceit? Every stone in the foundation is now subject to scrutiny. And the third is the source of material resources. The task is to conduct an audit and separate pure flows from those secretly poisoned by another's will. This is a total inventory of life, where every asset must prove its right to exist in your new world. The Garden of Withered Promises is the first to undergo review. The main temptation here is to get bogged down in the emotional swamp of confrontations, demanding explanations and repentance. But this is a trap designed to poison the very soil of your belief in love. Your salvation lies in your grounded nature, Taurus. Engage your innate pragmatism. Instead of analyzing the betrayer's motives with surgical precision, divide shared assets, close accounts, return keys. Your task is not to win a moral argument, but to reclaim your material independence. Use your stubbornness not for revenge, but to establish an unbreakable boundary. This business-like approach is the highest act of spiritual purification. Next, you approach the Fortress of Professional Achievements, and this assault is far more perilous. Here, deceit is woven not into emotions, but into your social status, into what you've presented to the world for years as proof of your worth. The temptation to maintain the facade will be almost irresistible, for not just a career, but a part of your identity will crumble. But Pluto demands not a cosmetic repair, but the demolition of a load-bearing wall. Your task is not to save a position, but to save your name. Take one decisive step. Voluntarily withdraw from a project or partnership that is the primary symbol of this lie. This is a public act of renouncing false success, which will restore your right to build anew. And now you approach the source of material resources, and this is the most daunting frontier. Here, lies have materialized, in the form of accounts, assets, and the very stability you clung to. These are not just money, they are the golden bars of your cage. And here, Pluto will demand a sacrifice, unthinkable for your earthy nature. The advice is simple and merciless. Do not fight for your share. Voluntarily relinquish tainted assets. This act of conscious resetting isn't financial ruin, but the spiritual bankruptcy of an old system. You are investing not in future wealth, but in something priceless, your right to start with a clean slate. But in this void created by your renunciation, you will not be alone. The universe immediately sends you an ally. This is not a person, but a crystallized insight, a forgotten piece of advice from your father, a line from a book read in youth that suddenly flares in your consciousness like neon light. This wisdom was inaccessible to you before, buried under layers of compromise. But now that you have cleared the field, it appears as a reward for your courage. This is your inner tuning fork that will now attune you to the vibrations of truth. your first asset in the new economy of the soul. Warm. And this asset is a new law of physics for your personal universe, dictated by Venus and certified by Pluto. It states, anything that doesn't evoke a deep sense of calm and strength within your body is false and must be rejected. This is your new compass, not your mind, which will seek advantage, nor your heart, which can be deceived by pity, but your body, an incorruptible lie detector. From now on, every decision, from choosing a business partner to buying a cup, you will verify with this tuning fork. If there's resonance, there's life. If there's no resonance, there's a threat. Venus grants you the right to beauty, but Pluto sets a condition: this beauty must be true, down to its last molecule. But it is here, guarding your new honesty, that your ancient demon, the hedonist, will rise. From the ruins of the past, a siren's song will emerge, promising to restore familiar comfort and sensual pleasure. This voice, the shadow side of your Venus, will tempt you to trade harsh truth for sweet lies. It will whisper that the emptiness of freedom is cold, while the prison was warm and cozy. This is Taurus's instinctive pull towards familiar pleasure, even if it's poisonous. This is Pluto's final test, to distinguish genuine beauty from a gilded cage. And so, preparing for the final battle, you find that the enemy hasn't appeared on the battlefield. Steps that seemed unthinkable are taken with startling ease. The world isn't collapsing, on the contrary, it seems to exhale with relief alongside you. This is Pluto's most cunning trap. He temporarily removes the tension to test the purity of your intention. The universe lulls your vigilance, granting a false sense of quick victory. This lull isn't a reward, it's an examination. The cosmos watches to see if you will remain faithful to your decision when the pressure that birthed it subsides. And in the midst of this lull, under the veil of a dark moon in Virgo, a counterattack commences. What comes to you is not a plea for forgiveness, but a cold, calculated ultimatum. This is a cunning manipulation appealing to your sense of duty, shared obligations, and fear of public disgrace. Your quiet personal drama is suddenly brought into an arena where spectators have already taken their seats. The stakes increase exponentially. Now, it's not about your right to leave, but your right to exist outside this toxic system. This is the true point of no return. Bridges aren't just burned, their ashes are scattered by the wind, and now the only path is forward. And this path forward leads through the desert of public condemnation. Your former ally, using all levers of influence, turns your personal war for truth into a public trial where you are the accused. Friends you considered your own become jurors, delivering a verdict based on distorted facts. You will have to sacrifice not just your reputation, but an entire social stratum that was part of your identity. Every unanswered phone call will be a small death. This is the price of sovereignty. You lose a false entourage to finally gain your own throne. But the throne turns out to be icy, and the crown, a crown of thorns. In the deafening silence that follows the battle, you are left alone with the ruins. The very truth for which you paid everything suddenly loses color and weight, turning into a handful of ashes in your palm. The voices of former allies, now echoing in your head, merge into a single accusatory chorus. And at this point of absolute solitude, your inner core cracks. It seems to you that you fought not for freedom, but for the right to die in a desert you yourself created. This is the peak of despair, when the enemy has won because you yourself begin to believe their version of events. It is here, at the bottom of the well, that your earthy nature confronts its greatest horror: emptiness. Not financial or social, but ontological. Earth, your element, vanishes beneath your feet, and for the first time in your life, you feel weightless, without support or direction. This is not a fall. This is a suspension in absolute nothingness, where there is no light or sound, only your solitary consciousness with nothing left to cling to. The only task at this point is to breathe, to wait for dawn, even if it seems the sun will never rise again. The second act of your life is over, and in this vacuum, where there is neither past nor future, the very insight gifted by the universe suddenly ignites. A forgotten piece of advice, a line from a book, your inner tuning fork. And you understand, You sought solid ground beneath your feet, but you needed to become that ground. All losses were not destruction, but the clearing of territory within you. Your new strategy is born from these ashes, not to seek support, but to radiate it. From now on, you are the center of gravity around which a new, authentic world will begin to orbit. Thus begins your main hunt for the taproot of yourself. This is not a search for external support, but a geological exploration within your own depths. Your goal is to find that single, unbreakable vein of truth that will henceforth nourish all your decisions, projects, and connections, making them organic and alive. To root yourself in this truth means gaining eternal immunity to all lies, external and internal. This is your main trophy in this war, the right to a reality that no one else can poison. And this hunt begins not with grand declarations, but with micro-decisions, each an act of self-respect. You are no longer at war with the world, you are calibrating your internal gyroscope. So, choosing a book over idle chatter, a quiet walk instead of background noise. This is how you reclaim sovereignty over your reality, cell by cell. This is not an escape from the past, but a methodical construction of the future from within. Every correct choice strengthens your taproot, transforming it from a thin vein into an unbreakable crystal that now sets the vibration for your entire life. And then, as this crystal begins to vibrate at full strength, a ghost from the past appears at your doorstep. But it comes not with an ultimatum, but with an offer of restoration. You are offered to restore a ruined empire, recover lost assets, mend the broken chalice of familiar comfort. This is the last, most insidious test, a choice between two fundamental states, to be an owner whose worth is measured by what they possess, or to become a master whose power lies in who they are. Your decision in this moment is not just a choice of path, it is an act of self-creation. And your answer sounds not like a gunshot, but like the silence that follows it, an absolute serene refusal. For the first time in your life, you look at the gold offered to you and see only dust. Your inner crystal, tuned to the vibration of truth, simply doesn't resonate with this offer. This is the main battle, not with an enemy, but with your own instinct for possession. By rejecting the crown of the owner, you embrace the invisible mantle of the master. In this instant, for the first time, you become priceless, because you no longer have a price. From this moment, you cease to be a player in others' games and become the very field upon which reality unfolds. Your aura, purified by the fire of loss, acquires unprecedented density and gravity. People, projects, and opportunities now do not come to you by invitation. They are drawn to your energetic center as the sole source of genuine stability in a world of simulacra. You no longer seek support, you radiate it. This is your greatest reward, the unshakable right not just to live, but to be the living, warm core of your own, honestly created universe. And your life ceases to be a struggle. The former survival tactic, based on calculation and compromise, is replaced by the art of navigating the flow. Henceforth, your main capital is no longer assets, but the ability to sense authenticity. You gain access to the highest form of hedonism, finding pleasure not in what is expensive, but in what is true. The taste of simple food, the warmth of a sunbeam, a sincere conversation. These are the new currency of your kingdom, where you are the sole and rightful ruler. Thus, your new law is affirmed, etched not in stone, but in the very structure of your soul. This is your mantra of power, your eternal answer to any external challenge. I am the center. I am the law. My truth is the ground upon which everything grows. Repeat it not with your mind, but with your entire being, until it becomes your breath. But know this, peace is merely a pause at the summit. The cosmos, having ensured your integrity, is already preparing your next blueprint. For he who has learned to create his own world gains the right to heal the worlds of others. Your grand construction has only just begun.